Good afternoon, Flosstube. It's Lori of MischievousStitches. I want to welcome all of you back to my channel this week. I'm so glad that you're here, and for those of you that keep returning, thank you so much for visiting my channel on the weekends to let me chatter on with you about my cross stitch. And to those of you that are new here, welcome. So this week I have several things to share with you. I have some haul, which is mainly things I have bought to kit up pieces. I have a small finish, and I have some progress on my current pieces, as well as a couple of books that I want to share with you. And of course, they're needlework related. So let's just jump right into it. So I set a couple of goals for myself on my pieces last week. I did not reach them. It has been a whirlwind week. I've had a wonderful week, but a lot of what I did this week just did not make time for my cross stitch. So I'm going to share with you what I did get accomplished this week. And I probably will not set a goal for myself for this week, maybe just a project to work on, because it's getting into spring. I have a lot of yard work to catch up on. And when I get started out there, I just don't want to stop. So I'll spend a lot of my extra time when I'm not working in the yard. So I'm going to jump right in. So if you remember a couple of videos ago, I finished one of the blue ribbon designs pieces that is finished into a zinc ball canning jar lid. Now, if you remember, I did not have the actual ball brand. I had an Atlas brand zinc lid, but it worked just fine. And you can find them in antique shops or junk shops all over America and probably beyond if you're interested in doing this design. Brenda, which is the designer for Blue Ribbon Designs, can be found on Etsy. And I'm going to show you, I downloaded the pattern onto my iPad. I finished this one 2 weeks ago, and I finished this one today. I did not fully finish it, but I have it to share with you today. So here it is, and mine differs a little bit from Belinda's in that my pink is a little lighter going around. I did not have the pink that was called for, and I went with one letter below it, which was lighter than hers. But I'm really pleased with how it looks. This is a little bluebird. It's spring. Spring has sprung. I have bluebirds nesting in my backyard. I do have a bluebird box that my father made and installed on a tree in the backyard a couple of years ago. And I was very happy to see bluebirds flying in and out of there the past few days. So there's this one. And I hope by the next video, I will have a finish on this piece to share with you. So that is Under My Wings by Blue Ribbon Designs, and it is this one. So once I finish it up in the zinc lid, I will share that finish with you. I'm going to share with you my current focus pieces and what I've gotten done on those this week. So we have my big, not my big toe, By the Bay Needlearts, and this is in my father's house. I'm getting a shadow there. I'm not sure. Let me push this back. Okay, let's try this. So this is In My Father's House by the Bay Needlearts. And let me flipping through, because now I have 4 projects. I started another one. I want to share that one. I can't wait to share that one too. But this is where I am. So I finished up only portion of one of the window sills that I was hoping to finish, and it was the top left-hand corner. And I did get the sheep's body put in because I wanted to start working on the grass, because there's a large lawn in front of the house. The house is large, the lawn is large, and I wanted to get working on it. So that is why I went ahead and put that sheep in. And that's where I am on this one. And I'm stitching along on this one with MelyEllyStitches here on Flosstube, and Rhonda Stitching by the Lake on Instagram. And Rhonda has caught up with me now, she says, and I have not checked in with MelyEllyStitches to see how she's coming along on hers, but I love this piece. I'm going to continue working on it in the coming weeks and hopefully have a finish this year. That's the plan. I also got no work whatsoever done on my Brenda keys. a sampler story. My goal was to get one of the squares done and maybe get some of the borders completed on a few other boxes. I didn't get it done, but I'll share with you where I am in case this is your first time here. So last week I completed these. Let me fold this around. I finished these 2 blocks, and unfortunately I constructed the house with the incorrect color, but I like it just fine, and I'm not ripping out that over one to fix it. It'll just be a happy accident. I've made it mine. It's unique. And that's another one that, these are all whips from previous years. Like I said, I did make a new start, and that was on the Bluebird design. And I have another one to share with you, but these are all whips from previous years that I'm planning to knock out this year. And so far, I've done a really good job on knocking out whips, but this is another. This is Christ in Gethsemane. And I did pick him back up last week for Easter, and I worked on him on and off all week. So when I did get a moment to stitch, with the exception of Saturday night, I finished this. Been working on this guy. I didn't finish him. I've been working on this guy, on Christ. So I think going forward, what I'm going to do is commit to myself just to work on him on Sunday, just to help me reflect on his face, and just it's a pleasure to stitch on, because it is on a larger count fabric. I started it probably in the late 90s, and the only thing that I find challenging is that the back of the pattern, the background, is done in half stitches, so just one leg of the cross, and most of those are done in just one thread. The back stitching is done in one thread, but then there's other parts that are blended threads where you take one DMC color strand and another of another color, mix those together. Now when you get into him, which I've worked, and I'll share with you in a minute, I've worked on his robe, or is it the sashing of the robe? There will be in some spots 2 strands of one color and one of another. So I'm working with 3 strands in places. And it's a couple of times I've made the mistake of just pulling one of each color. I've done that about twice, but I'm not going to pull those pieces out because as I've discovered, as you iron things, it kind of helps to flatten the threads a little and cover some of the shadowing from the fabric from behind them. So let me share with you that piece and where I got. Let me fix this needle down. Is that the back? That's the back. So here he is. And so down here in the purple nearest to my face, that is where I worked. So I was very happy. I finished the background in the left side of this piece this week, and I started coming down Christ's back, and the purple that I worked on is the bottom part of that pattern. So it is an oval design. And I've enjoyed working on it because it is a larger count fabric. It's different from what I normally gravitate to now in my stitching currently, versus this is stitching that I did 20 years ago. But I do look forward to getting him finished. I wish I knew what fabric this was. It looks to be a hand dyed because it is on the front and back. It's definitely not printed. It is a very nice linen to work with. I've ironed it a lot because in certain spots I think those are wrinkles, but they're not. It's just the dyeing of the fabric. But I really do like this piece, and I look forward to finishing this one as well. Isn't that why we start things though? I start them to finish them someday. So there's that. So I'm going to work on him this evening. But for a few hours today, I'm going to continue to work on this piece. Now, I shared it with you last week, and I will link this below. And I do link below the names and designers of my current focus pieces. I did have a lot of my finishes from this year listed, and I did take those down last week. So if you are interested, or you see me show something that you want to know, just leave a question below and I'll do my best to answer it. But I'm just going to put my current works down there. And this was haul that I shared last week. So this is from the Needlework Expo. This is MelyEllyStitches, and this is the Redwork sampler. So yesterday, I had the opportunity to take a trip to a local needlework shop. When I say local, I have 3 that are within 2.5 to 3 hours from me. And so I drove up with a friend who was here from out of town, and we had a wonderful day. We had some good food and a lot of laughs, but a lot of time in the car, and we visited a local needlework shop. So I got the supplies to start this one. The problem is I've done a couple of red samplers, and I know that is the law to have one always on the go, but I tend to go towards oranges or orangey reds. So I chose some colors for me. The only problem is this pattern has Redwork written at the bottom. So I picked up a piece of 36 count Lakeside Magnolia last night and gave it a quick start. So that I just started in the top left-hand corner of the pattern. And I picked out 2 colors, and I want to share them with you. Now, I don't know why I keep getting that shadow right here on the side. I wanted you to see the colors better, but this is it. And the colors are 918 DMC, which is one of my favorite rusty red oranges. And then I also picked up Classic Colorworks Campfire, which actually has some red in it. Let me see if you can see it well enough. I can see some here. Can you see that? Has some reds, but also has the same orange. So what I plan to do is, you know, one strand of one color, one on another, because they only had a couple of these at the shop, and they could have ordered it, but at the same time, I wanted to start it now. Right then I had a fever to start it, and I didn't want to wait on it to come in the mail. But since this color is actually in Campfire, I'm just going to use one strand of one and one on the other. So I'm going to stitch it 1/2 on this 36 count, and I hope to be down into the first row of letters when I see you again. Now, with a friend, you know, we're bantering back and forth, we're comparing colors, we're making plans, all the things you do when you visit a needlework shop with a friend. And it says Redwork at the bottom. And when I showed her the color and what I was thinking and that it was my favorite, she said, well, just change it to Rustwork. I know that's not a traditional thing, but I don't care. I thought it was a wonderful idea. It can commemorate our time together, of us visiting the shop together. And if I can make it work, I'm going to change that word from Redwork to Rustwork. But again, this is MelyEllyStitches, and this is Redwork Sampler. Let it rip, girls. Let those zippers zip. Okay, so I also picked up, so now we're into some of the haul that I picked up yesterday. I love to visit a needlework shop. It is seeing the models on the walls. It is seeing patterns I've not seen before. The helpfulness of the clerks working in the shop. It's everything about it. Visiting with a friend, seeing some things through their eyes, because discussing it with them, you know, you're gonna sometimes find something in a shop just because a friend's there, and you see it with a set of eyes that you would have normally not have seen it with. So anyway, we picked out a couple of pieces to do together, and this is one of them. This was a model at the shop. It was finished on a Lone Elm Lane box, and it was beautiful. I never, to be honest, would have really given this piece a second thought. I think it's nice. It was a nice design, nothing wrong with it, just not necessarily my taste. But with that being said, after seeing it finished, I loved it. And this is Lone Elm Lane Snow Angel. And for those that have stitched pieces that have the cemetery tombstone angels spread out above it, that's what's here. And it's finished here just like it was finished in the shop. So I went ahead and bought the fabric, and I bought the threads to do them with. I have them all, I think, but 2. Excuse me. here they are. Like I said, with the exception of 2. Browns, golds, greens, beige, mustard yellows. Some of my favorite colors right here. And it calls for winter brew, which is, I believe it calls for winter brew, or is that just what I bought? No, it calls for picture this plus L. I bought winter brew, R&R winter brew, and I love it. So we've made plans to start this one together, and I'm looking forward to that. Gives us a reason to text one another back and forth, message, just, you know, in texting and talking through Messenger, guess what? You're going to ask other questions about what's going on in life. So it's a perfect way to keep in touch, is to start a project with a friend. The other one we picked up together was a little bit pricey for a pattern, but it was finished as a model and it was gorgeous. And we both kept going back to it. So this is Isabella Sinclair, 1827. It's a Scottish sampler. And I'm not going to try to say the name of the designer, but it has GPA as the initials here in the top left, and I wanted you to see it. So it is a Scottish sampler. There in the shop, they had it on a darker piece of fabric. I will do the same. I did not kit this one up. I just bought the pattern. So when we finish our other mutual stitch, we'll start this one. I think it's gorgeous. And once again, if I had not seen the model, I probably would not have bought this, especially not for that price, because it's a little bit pricey, but it's beautiful. And on the 15th of April, if you've been watching my videos, I'm going to be hosting with my friend MelyEllyStitches on Instagram. We are hosting a stitch along for Blue Ribbon Designs, period. Meaning, if you have a blue ribbon design that you've had in your stash for years, or something you've recently bought now that she's back on the scene, kit it up, pull it out, stitch along with us. So there's no real rules here, as long as it's a blue ribbon design, whether it's a past whip, a new start, a new pattern, an old pattern, just join in on the fun. And we'll do that on tax day here in the US on April 15th. So it's going to be hashtag BRB Tax Day Sal. I'll link that below as well. I shared this as well. This is a little Quakeresque, and this is the piece that I will be starting. I've had this in my stash for some time. I really like it, but blue is just not my color. So I'm going to share with you what I chose. I picked up a piece of MelyEllyStitches beige. To me, it's a little bit greeny. I don't think it's coming out as well on this video, but I had it in my mind to do this in greens. So I played with some colors, and I did basically the same thing I did with the Redwork sampler, is I chose some MelyEllyStitches colors, but I also chose some DMC. So I will use both colors. This is DMC Juniper, which has different shades of green and deep dark teal. So I picked up DMC 500. Let me lay them together. And Juniper. And the DMC 500 looks to be like the minor color in the MelyEllyStitches Juniper. So on tax day, April 15th, I will be starting this piece. And I hope many of you will join along with Mary and I as we do this stitch along. And if you do join along and you post pictures on Instagram, please make sure you tag the designer, Blue Ribbon Designs. Her name is Brenda. I know she'll probably be taking a look at what we're doing and cheering us on. So once again, let those zippers zip. Okay, there's one other piece I did not kit it up fully. I just bought the fabric for. And this is one I shared with you last week as well. This is Sarah Steele by Tree of Life Samplings. And it's by Jan Alexander, which I see her on Instagram as well. She has an Etsy shop. I'll link that below as well. And I purchased a piece of 40 count summer khaki for this one. So just a Zweigart base. That light is just really kind of drowning out the beauty of this piece of fabric, but that's it. And then I got a gift. I was gifted a pattern, and I meant to take this one along, and I bought all those other things and I did not kit this up. This is, I'm not gonna say this, Reflex de Soie. There's the name of the pattern. It's a pin keep. Isn't that beautiful? Those colors, it's different shades of blue, what I would consider ice blue, dark blue, navy, beautiful. And then I kitted up one more thing. This is one I've had in my wish list for a while. While I was in the shop, I went ahead and purchased the fabric for it. So this is Early Christmas Morning by, Early Christmas Morning by Blackbird Designs. Now this will be a new to me finish. We talked last week about my desire to do a drum with an existing piece that I have. And so you had to get a piece that was long enough. It was different buying this piece of fabric because you have to buy a piece that is long enough to stitch the banding that is around the edge of the piece. And then you had to also consider the size of this center stitching here. So that was something new for me. So the bottom, it's okay if it's not with linen because you're going to need it to lay flat. But the top and the sides are stitched. So in buying fabric, I had to keep that in mind. So I purchased another piece of Winter Brew by R&R to stitch that one on. I did not get the threads. I'm going to try to see what I have on hand here and use those. But I have not been in a shop for a long time. So of course, over a year, I couldn't even recall the last time I have been in a stitch shop. So it was wonderful to be out, even though we're still under a mask mandate, to be out and in a shop with other stitchers and doing one of the things I love best, which is shopping for cross stitch. I did get a couple of really sweet cards. I got one from Nicole, Buckeye Stitcher, a little postcard. Thank you, Nicole. And I got one from Teresa Potter, and this was an Easter card, and she put a little skein of thread, which I've already bobbinated and put into my stash, so thank you, Teresa. And then I got 2 books. Now, I found these both on, I purchased one after seeing a stitcher give an update, and I believe it was this one, and it may not be. It's one of these 2. I'm pretty sure it's this one. This is So Many Notions. But what drew me to it is I saw a finish on a tomato on this person's Instagram page. And in following through her comment, I found that it was in this book, which led me to see the other things that was in this book. Because on Amazon, I can flip through and see a quick few pages to see if it's something that I would be interested in purchasing. There's lots of things about tomatoes. There's a tomato needle book. There are instructions how to make tomatoes. Let me just show you a couple of the pictures here. So this is just a wall hanging done with wool. I've done a little bit of wool applique, just enough that I am confident that I should have no problems. It's more forgiving to me than regular sewing or sewing clothes or that kind of thing. So it's more open to mistakes because it helps with the faux carniness of it. So let me see. I should have marked some pages, so I apologize. But then there's a pin pillow with the tomato on it that says sew. And some bobbins that are made in into the little tags. I really want to get to the back where there are. Here's Sewing Mends the Soul, which is just a little framed wool piece that shows the tomato with a spool of thread. And look at these tomatoes. I like them because they're quirky and unusual. They're not the typical tomatoes that we would make. I really like that. And that's the one that the friend on Instagram had posted. Here's the Needlebook. And then here's a small insert showing what it would look like inside. And then here's a display with several. So you've got the quirky tomato there, the regular finished tomatoes. There's 3 different sizes, a small, medium, large that it gives instructions for, as well as the Needlebook. And this is another piece. It's a larger Needlebook. I really like it. So I'm probably going to be ordering a little bit of wool so I can make a start on one of these. I'm thinking I really want to do the little Needlebook. I think it's cute as it can be. It's adorable. So I will look this one up. I'll purchase them both on Amazon, so I'll look them up and link them below for you. Now this one happened to pop up when I purchased that one, and I just couldn't say no. So it's basically the same type of things. It is hand quilted applique for wool pieces, but it's strawberries. Look at this. So you've got a pin pillow here, and you've got a what do you call that? A scissors tag here and a needle book here. Let me see if I've got a bigger picture of and I think it's in the back of the book. No, it's in the front for this one. But it's so interesting. Now the colors inside of this one are not typically my colors, but who doesn't love a plump red strawberry, especially in the spring? But the bright pinks and yellows are not typically what I go for. But it would be so easy to change these colors that are more suitable to my color palette. So look at the little strawberry blossoms. So cute, so cute. So then I want to share with you a couple of other things. Oops, I put something on the floor and it bumped something. I shared with you a storage container that I purchased at Walmart last week, and I had plans to put my finishes into them. Now, that in itself was an adventure. I do still have a lot of things that are just, I'm a process stitcher. I love to stitch. Since doing Flosstube, I have finished a lot more than I ever have, fully finished a lot more than I ever have. There are still several things that I have not fully finished. These are things that I finished this year and in past years, going back the entire time that I've been stitching. So this container is about 5.5 inches tall, but the container, I didn't think about the height of the wheels because that did not include the height of the wheels. So this will not fit up under my love seat due to the wheels, but I don't want to pull the wheels off. I haven't decided. I'll probably put this under my actual bed in my bedroom, but I wanted to share with you how it looks with my things nestled inside. So you see it has this vinyl top, and the vinyl top zips around, hold on just a second, all the way around 3 sides, but I've got things in here stored, and it's probably about 2/3 full. When placing my things, gathering them together and placing them in here, I found many more smalls, which is what I've been working on this year to fully finish. I wanted to share some of those with you. I don't remember if or when I've shared these, so I thought I'd do that today. Because putting them in this container brought them to my attention again. I don't remember what book this is in, but this is in one of the printed, I think, Zweigert fabrics. This is a blackbird, and it's Come Down to the Sea and Stitch With Me. And I stitched this in 2012 with my friend Joan. And Joan is from Florida. We were at a stitch get-together. A stitchy get-together at Fripp Island, and we stitched that together. And I wish I had chose a different blue. This is not the call for blue, but it has those memories associated with it. But it's a small. It's something I can finish this year. This one is from 2002, and this is Sweet Spring. And I think this was a freebie design that I picked up from somewhere during the time that I didn't have much money for stitching supplies. But I loved it because of all the specialty stitches and the specialty threads. And then, of course, there's a button there in the center, and there's some little rhinestones, or is that beading up in the top, and the flowers. And a lot of them that really need a good ironing. And this looks like it's maybe a Victoria design or Sweetheart Tree, not Victoria, Sweetheart Tree. And downstairs in my kitchen, I've got stitching framed in on the wall, and they were all in purples and greens. And I'm sure that I planned on putting this there, but you can see it still has the hoop mark. This one I stitched a year or two ago. This is a Scarlet House. This is called Samplers. And I had a plan of putting this into making this as the cover of a book, like a junk journal, to put smalls into. And I see that now someone else has gotten the same design, the same idea, and has been going with that. And I had the idea, but I never put that idea into form. This is a piece I picked up at a shop, and I couldn't leave it there. I think it may be come in a needle box that I purchased. And the needle is actually still in it, and it's an unfinished quilt block. And I just couldn't get rid of it. As you can see, it's not completed. It's not also down. But I like it just like it is. This is just how the stitcher left it. And that's why I love it so much. It puts me, it's like I'm reaching back in time and holding hands with the stitcher who made this piece. This is Baked Goods. This is a Little House Needleworks. This one should be finished this year. This is a Homespun Elegance. This was a kit from 2016. A friend had gifted this to me. And I think I did show this at one point because someone went on the look for it and found them on eBay. And then I have several that I've shared with you recently, the Lavender and Lace Angels, which I'm not going to share them again this time. And then this is my first and only punch needle. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby when punch needle was just coming on the scene several years ago. And I made this piece, and I do like it. But as many people have said, it takes a lot of thread. If you're trying to get rid of threads, it's perfect. But the reason I never finished it, I just didn't have any idea of how to finish it. And two, it was just so much easier to pick up something and get back to work stitching. And then I found my piece that Helen D inspired me with her video last week to make into a drum. And this is Bent Creek. Bent Creek? I think it is. Valentine Row. Now this one needs a good pressing, and I have finished this one since doing Flosstube. And Helen made hers into a drum. So you see it's going to be a rather large drum, but I like that it's large and short. So it's large and stumpy. And I really like that. Hearts are my favorite shapes. So that's just some of the things that are nestled away in this box. Like I said, I think I'm going to put it under my the bed in my bedroom because it will not fit up here. But that's okay. There's no reason I shouldn't. But in the coming week, I'm going to continue to stitch on both my Redwork sampler, which is what I'm renaming it, and I'm going to work on Jesus Tonight. And I've gotten some questions about how I stitch. I think I've mentioned it recently that I stitch a lot of times based on what fabric I'm working on or the size of the fabric. Some things I'm able to stitch with in hand, like In My Father's House, I'm stitching that piece in hand with no issues whatsoever. But with Jesus, as I'm stitching, or Christ in Gethsemane, as I'm stitching on him with multiple threads, I've been using my stand. And what I say about stand is a clamp stand. It is called an LBC, not the letters LBC, but ELBESEE, which I will link below. I'm going to share it with you. So it comes like this. You can get multiple types of sizes of hoops. I think mine is a 10 inch, 10.5 inch. And this is the way I do a lot of my stitching. It's comfortable for me. I have a wooden TV tray that I purchased at Walmart years ago, so that when I go on retreats or I go on an overnight weekend with friends, I take this TV tray, put it beside wherever my stitch nest is for the weekend, and I put all my supplies there, my pattern stands, my orc container, my threads, what have you, you know, our needlework notions. This clamps very easily to that TV tray. The TV tray, well, you can see here I've had it attached, so it's a little bit wider than this. And so I attach it there. I pull the tray up to me, which is what the TV tray was made for you, so you could sit comfortably at your couch and watch TV. I pull the tray to me and I stitch on this. So you can adjust this. You can tighten it here with one of the wing nuts. It's a wing nut here. You can just tighten it. You can tighten this to the tray right here. You can actually flip this around if you don't like this facing down. You can do it opposite, but it's basically the same concept, that you can attach it there. Then also, to keep this from swinging, you've got a tightener here. And you see it's not swinging, I'm swinging it. I was introduced to these by Marlene Bush of Stitching by the Lake. I attended a retreat a couple of years ago with Marlene, and she had this. As soon as I got home, I ordered one. I've been using it ever since. I do know that there's also a lap piece for this where you can put it under your hip, and then this comes over your lap like this. So there's that. I do know that you can order another, for this particular model, you can order another hoop that is smaller if you'd like. So I'm going to link this particular one below so you can see it. And if you're interested, take a look. You may want one for yourself. I know that I use, this is one of I use this before I use a hoop in hand or a Q-snap. If I'm not stitching this way, I'm stitching in hand. So just keep that in mind. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'll try to answer them. And I want to thank you again at the closing of this video to say thank you for watching. I'm very glad that you're here. And if you're here for the first time, I hope you'll come back soon. And if you've been here many times, I still hope that you'll come back soon and visit with me again next weekend. Until then, cross all the X's, hugs and stitches. Bye-bye.